Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. Glad you're here for the conversation. Look, there's something wrong with higher education in America. I think we're all pretty clear on that. We've seen a lot of problems, a lot of indoctrination, a lot of strange things happening on college campuses. And my next guest is here to help me sort some of it out. Heather MacDonald, a Thomas W. Smith Fellow at the Manhattan Institute and a contributing editor of the City Journal and a New York Times bestselling author of The War on Cops. Heather, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, so I've seen this resistance to federal law in different places, whether it's the governor of Maine saying, no, we're going to do what we want with men and women's sports, universities saying, no, we're going to keep DEI, we'll do as we please. You know, Columbia's president resigned as a result of this tussle and what had happened, but yet the DEI, I see they rename these departments to something else. It's the Department of Happiness or whatever they call it, right? And they try to skirt the federal law. And it's like the only way, I think, Heather, is you've got to cut the purse strings. I think that's what they did with Harvard. We'll get to that in a minute. But, I mean, it just doesn't end this DEI battle, does it?
It's just remarkable, Steve, how determined they are to preserve this fiction that they are racist institutions. It's a very bizarre thing. Usually you would think a person or an institution would try to defend itself. Instead, the whole premise of this massive corrupted, overfed, bloated DEI bureaucracy is that we Harvard or we Princeton or we Columbia are so filled with racist administrators and faculty that we need a whole separate bureaucracy to protect students against being marginalized for their delicate identities. And these people are digging in the heels. The rebrandings are hilarious. They'll take out the Office of Inclusive Excellence and Belonging and put in the Office of Excellence and Inclusive Belonging and think that they've managed to change their identities. Meanwhile, you know, they've got 30 bureaucrats at the University of Pennsylvania alone in its Office of University Life, which is, again, to help students have wonderfully inclusive experiences. None of this is needed. It's what drives up the obscene tuitions. I was just at Hamilton College in upstate New York. Their tuition and board now reaches $92,000 a year. Their ratio of faculty to administrators is 1-to-1.
Wow.
50 years ago, you had maybe 2 administrators overseeing a faculty and student body.
Right.
And they keep adding and adding them. And guess who's paying for it? Taxpayers through the student loan.
And they pay for it a couple of different ways, Heather, if I might be so bold, because we also pay for it in the fact that we turn out all of these quote unquote college graduates who are no farther down the road than people that didn't go to college. They have no more marketable skills, but they do have $100,000 or $200,000 in debt or whatever it turns out to be. And they're flipping burgers like the guy next to him who didn't go to college and doesn't have the debt. That's the problem. I think that we should have co-signers on these diplomas. And what I mean by that, if you go to college and they promise you this great degree in communications, and 5 years down the line, your $100,000 in debt has not been parlayed into any usable job, then the university or the institution that sold you that piece of paper ought to be on the hook for it, not the American taxpayer for sure, maybe not even the student because they were the victim of fraud. Where am I wrong?
I totally agree. And I think we also have to, especially conservatives or Republicans, have to give up the idea that the more people who go to college, the better. I hear so many conservative philanthropists who've got their various social uplift programs in this or that stressed community. And their metric for success is always the percentage of graduates who go on to college. That's the wrong way to think about things.
I have another metric, Heather, if I may be so bold. I have another metric, if I may. Yeah. How about the time it takes for the plumber to arrive at my house when a pipe breaks? There's one metric. How about how long it takes to find a handyman that'll actually come to my house to fix things that are beyond my capability? I mean, I don't know where it's like where you live. You can't find them. Plumbers are almost impossible. Electricians are almost impossible. Carpenters, good luck. And are these not great jobs with people that can do great things, invest in their families, invest in their communities, build things? It doesn't have to be about a college education. It's about working hard and contributing, isn't it? Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
It's the tyranny of the elites that can only think in terms of white collar jobs and being administrators and bureaucrats in this growing state. In fact, many males, young boys, are being denied the ability to use their talents to think about fixing things, use their hands. We are becoming a feminized society with the females want to work in these massive bureaucracies. It's the males that have the drive to actually learn how things work and get involved in that, but they're being shunted along into the same track into some massive corporation
Yep,
pushing papers. So yes, it's also a war on males.
it
I,
is.
I would have one. I would have one disagreement, and I don't really know how to solve this, Steve. But I don't like the idea of measuring the value of a college degree exclusively on the basis of earning potential and getting a degree. I think it's an end in itself. I think the goal of attaining knowledge about past civilization, that's what college is about. It's not a trade school. It's not about, trying to get your salary up. It's about, have you learned what the basis of the West is? Have you confronted beauty, sublimity, joy, sorrow in the philosophical, the literary, the artistic tradition? And that's hard to measure. So I don't have an answer to that. But I
Well,
do
there is
think
some
that
truth to you. I can concede to you there is some truth there. I will concede that point to you, Heather. It's well argued and well played, and I will agree with you. But when we have people that appreciate art to the tune of $250,000 in debt, it is an issue that we need to figure out. Before I let you go, though, I got a couple minutes here. You have a headline here: the White House's clumsy attack on Harvard. You think that they've done the right thing, but they've not done it well, and they may well lose in court because of it. The administration, of course, cutting back and not giving $2.26 billion to Harvard over a dispute. You don't think it's going to play in court? Why not?
because it is clearly trying to dictate to Harvard what it teaches, what the content of its curriculum is. In theory, I agree with this. I am not on Harvard's side on a substantive basis. I think it has betrayed its mission. Nevertheless, the Trump administration is exceeding its legal authority. I'm not also a big fan of this hands off, don't touch us concept of academic freedom. I don't see why a college president or donors or the board of trustees cannot say either we don't want patriotic history here, or we do want patriotic history. We do not want you to be engaged in this completely corrosive acid against the Western tradition. We want you to have a more balanced curriculum. That should be perfectly within the right of somebody who founds a university or funds it. Nevertheless, unfortunately, we've developed this concept of academic freedom, which once you create an institution, it's hands off. You can't do anything. The Trump administration has really no legal ground for dictating to Harvard that it must have viewpoint diversity. That's pure viewpoint discrimination. I don't like the law, but I do believe that the Trump administration should be following the law and being more careful, because right now what's happening, it is playing into the hands of the left
Right.
that said totalitarian regime. It appears to be acting as if it were. I think its motives
It's a
are not.
dangerous path, Heather. I think that you've made that clear, because if they go down it, somebody else can go down. It's not good for everybody. I got to leave it there, Heather. It's always a privilege when you come and spend some time with me here. Thank you for doing it today.
Thanks, Steve.
Greatly appreciate it. Heather MacDonald, everybody, from the Manhattan Institute. Always surround yourself with the smartest people you can find. She's one of them. I'll be right back.